countdown to the last comic shop in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Rise from your grave. Dun-da-da-da-doo. It's the last comic shop. I like that game.
Dude, I'm so excited. They made toys.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, the werewolf has been out for a year now. The were-dragon. I'm waiting for it to hit store shelves. So.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome to your doom.
Altered Beast. Hey, what could be better for the last comic shop this week? We've got tons of beasts on this week's episode, right, J.A.?
That's right. We are opening the shop. We're talking about lots of different monsters and comic books and how they intersect with each other.
That's right, and we'll help those oldies and moldies who've molded their way to the sides of that tent to get scraped off and put in a petri dish of... It's going to be a rough one.
All right. Well, in any case, we're hoping that you don't have a rough time listening to us for the next hour. I'm the host with the most, Andy Larson. I'm joined by my two co-hosts, J.A. Scott and Chad Smith. And as you may or may not know, it's the Halloween season. And so all this month, we've been doing spooky-related books. We did Tresse, a little bit of Horse Divorce, Don't Mind If I Do. And then we had... hors d'oeuvres, but I
What kind of little corn dogs are you serving? Horse dogs?
in case. Then we did Weapon X, then we did House of Secrets last week, and this week it's Godzilla, Monsterpiece Theatre. This is Chad's pick. And if you're interested, bonus homework, if you'd like to, you can go back in our last Comic Shop archives and find the interview with Tom Scioli. We did get to talk to at Three Rivers Con this past year, so he is the author and artist of said book. But we'll get to that in just a second. We have a tradition, kids, on the last comic shop. Every year we like to do some Halloween trivia. That's right.
Invariably, something about Charlie Brown is asked, and also
Jay
candy
gets
corn.
upset.
There's no candy corn in this one. I can't deny or promise there will be any questions about Charlie Brown. There may be. Who knows? But long story short, each of you are going to get 8 questions. And this year it is all about horror and spooky related comic books. So we're actually on brand, unlike just last couple years where we've just done random Halloween trivia. This is actually about comic books. So the last trivia challenge that we did was a road trip challenge back when we called them Giants. And J.A. won that. So now Chad is the challenger. So, Chad, you get to decide whether you want to go first or second.
I will go second.
So, J.A., the reigning champion of trivia right now, has to go first. Again, 8 questions, J.A. All of these will be multiple choice or guess if that's the case. But the best score out of 8 will be able to throw candy corn at the loser. So, are you ready, sir?
Didn't the last time we had multiple choice, weren't like more than half of the answers B?
Oh, man. Jay's pulling data.
I'm not going to affirm or deny any of this. Let's go ahead and get into question number 1. So, J.A., the first dedicated horror comic book was Gilbertson Publications Classic Comics issue 13, featuring a retelling of which classic horror tale? Would that be A, Frankenstein, B, Dracula, C, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or D, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow?
I'm going to go D.
Sorry. It was actually Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. For those folks that are keeping score, Gilbert Publications Classic Comics eventually became Classics Illustrated. So he is 0 for 1 out of the gates here.
Over.
Let's see if he can... turn the corner here with question number 2. In 1936, DC Comics introduced their first supernatural superhero with what character? Would that be A, the Phantom Stranger, B, Dr. Occult, C, the Phantom of the Fair, or D, Zatanna?
I'm going the Phantom of the Fair. I remember talking about that one.
That is incorrect. The Phantom of the Fair was actually a Centaur Publications character and actually came out a couple years after this. The character in question was actually Dr. Occult. Created by Superman scribes Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, Dr. Occult fought the Vampire Master in New Fun Comics issue number 6. So he is now 0 for 2 as we move into the next question. In 1971, following the relaxation of the Comics Code in regards to horror-type characters, Marvel Comics jumped back into the ring with which character? Would that be Blade? Would that be Morbius, the living vampire? Would that be the Man-Thing? Or would that be Werewolf by Night?
I feel like I know this one.
Yeah, it's probably Werewolf by Night, but I'm going to say Morbius.
That is correct!
It's
Morbius, the living...
time.
Morbius, the living vampire. His first appearance was in Amazing Spider-Man 101. Roy Thomas and Gil Kane created Morbius, who went on to star in his own series, taking over Adventures into Fear with issue 20. But yeah, he is now 1 for 3, moving in to question number 4. In the mid-60s, Gold Key Comics put out comic book adaptations of many famous horror-related TV shows. Which was not one of their titles? Would that be A, The Addams Family, B, The Twilight Zone, C, The Munsters, or D, Ripley's Believe It or Not, True Ghost Stories?
I'm going to go The Twilight Zone.
That is correct! The Twilight Zone was actually put out by Dell Comics, not Gold Key Comics. But the other 3 were all Gold Key publications.
He's starting to come to life!
All right. Question number 5? Is 5? In 1993, DC Comics famously created their Vertigo line of titles aimed at mature audiences with often supernatural and horror-related stories. Which was the first series to bear the Vertigo imprint? Would that be A, Sandman Mystery Theater, B, Death, the High Cost of Living, C, Enigma, or D, Kid Eternity?
Kid Eternity.
It's incorrect. The correct answer was Death, the High Cost of Living. Issue number 1 of the 3-issue Sandman spinoff debuted in March of 1993. All right, let's move into question number 6. You're doing pretty good, J.A. I'd be proud of you. Which of the following was not a horror host of the original EC horror comics of the 1950s? Would that be A, the Crypt Keeper, B, the Vault Keeper, C, Countess Von Blood, or D, the Old Witch?
And the Crypt Keeper, isn't that from Tales from the Crypt? That
yes.
Fox
that
show?
Again, this is who was not a horror host. You're saying well, that's not. Okay?
Yes.
That is incorrect. Tales of the Crypt was one of EC Comics' horror lines in the 1950s. The correct answer was Countess Von Blood. She was the horror host of Scary Tales, which was a Charlton horror series in the 1970s. All right, question number 7. In the original pitch for the series that eventually would become The Walking Dead, creator Robert Kirkman wanted to continue the story of which famous horror movie? Would that be 28 Days Later, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, or Shaun of the Dead?
I'm going to go Dawn of the Dead.
That's incorrect. You were close. It was Night of the Living Dead. The original series was supposed to take place in the 1960s. Image co-founder Jim Valentino suggested using original characters so that they could own the property outright. It was actually Jim Valentino who suggested making it its own thing.
Oh, right. Well, what do I know? I do know that Chevy didn't make a 327 in 55. The 327 didn't come out till 62. And it wasn't offered in the Bel Air with the 4-barrel carburetor until 64. However, in 1964, the correct ignition timing would be 4 degrees before Captain Center.
All right. You've got 2 right, J.A., moving into your last questions. Let's give it a shot. Last question, J.A. DC Comics' ghostly spirit of vengeance, known as the Spectre, had multiple hosts over his 1,000 years of existence. Who was not among his hosts in the comics? Would that be A, Jim Corrigan, B, Hal Jordan, C, Crispus Allen, or D, Ollie Queen?
Yeah, I'm going to go Crispus Allen.
That is incorrect.
Yeah, Ollie Queen? I don't know.
It was Ollie Queen.
Okay.
The Green Arrow, a.k.a. Oliver Queen, did become a host of the Spectre, but not in the comics. This only occurred in the Arrowverse TV show.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh,
Who gives a shit? Exactly.
God, I didn't give you any peanuts.
No,
questions.
you just gave me completely esoteric, random bullshit questions.
All right, Chad. Are you ready for your acre? Let's see how.
Well, hey, let's not count our chickens before we've hatched any scary chickens.
All right. Question number 1 for you, Chad. The first horror comic with original content was this title. Was it Eerie, Tales from the Crypt, Creepy, or Adventures into the Unknown?
I'm going to say Adventures into the Unknown, because the rest are all EC things that I feel like would have come out around the same time.
You were close. That was the first ongoing. The first, though, comic book with original content was Eerie. That's right. Single issue release from Avon Publications in January of 1947. This is not to be confused with the later, more famous Eerie magazine, by the way. This only was a single issue. But you're right.
What a bunch of crap. J.A.'s right. Protest. They're fine questions. Don't make my questions harder. Next.
All right. Question number 2, Chad. The Cape Crusader Batman first fought a supernatural villain in Detective Comics 31. Who was that villain? Was that Dr. Death, Dr. Hugo Strange, the Scarecrow, or the Monk?
I'm going to say the Monk.
That's correct.
I got one.
You did. Created by Gardner Fox, the vampire-esque Monk sought to kidnap Batman's fiancée, Julie Madison, and add her to his devilish cult. There you go. You're on the board, Chad. Moving in to question number 3. Under the guiding hand of editor-in-chief Archie Goodwin, Warren Publications put out a number of horror-related comic book magazines in the 1960s, which was not one of their titles. Was that Eerie, Creepy, Horror Tales, or Vampirella?
The Vampirella is definitely Warren. Oh, I'll go Horror Tales.
That's correct.
Those old Horror Tales got me another one.
This book was put out by one of Warren's imitators, actually called Eerie Publications. Again,
oh my goodness.
Not to be confused with Eerie Magazine.
Aye, aye, aye.
All right. Question number 4, Chad. The famous Marvel team of supernatural defenders known as the Midnight Suns first appeared in which comic book issue? Would that be Marvel Comics Presents issue 143, Morbius the Living Vampire Volume 2 issue 3, Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme issue 67, or Ghost Rider Volume 3 issue 28?
And we're looking for the Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns.
The 90s version. Okay.
There were no Midnight Suns before the 90s. Like, this was their first ever appearance. Yes.
All right. I'm going to say Ghost Rider because he was the anchor of all that stuff.
And that's correct. There you go. Issue 28, they appeared in a dream. They appeared for the first non-dream in issue 31, which was a couple issues later.
There you go. Both bagged and boarded with additional posters. I have those issues.
So you've officially won. Would you like to continue?
I'd love to hear your questions, Andy. I know you've worked hard on these things.
Well, I have to at least give you one more because this is bonus for Chad. Which of the following Peanuts characters never took a trip to the pumpkin patch to wait for the great pumpkin? Would that be Peppermint Patty, Charlie Brown, Snoopy's brother Spike, or Franklin?
I believe the correct answer is option E, J.A. Scott, because he'll have none of this Charlie Brown pumpkin patch baloney.
Hopefully you all enjoyed some Halloween-related comic books trivia here on The Last Comic Shop. Kudos to Chad Smith for getting a couple questions right. We'll be right back with more of The Last Comic Shop right after this with our review of Godzilla Monsterpiece Theatre. So stay tuned for all of that.
Hey, it's Mikey Wood, frequent Last Comic Shop guest and collector. And as a collector, I'm always in need of boards, bags, long boxes, and more to house all those comics. That's why I use promo code LCSPOD to get 10% off my orders at bcwsupplies.com. Not only does it get me a discount on BCW's already low prices, but I know using LCSPOD at checkout is another way I can show my support to the Last Comic Shop podcast and their continuing mission to bring fans together under that big comic book tent. So if you're in need of comic book supplies, head out to bcwsupplies.com and use promo code LCSPOD today. That's LCSPOD.
Hello, Internet! It's George from Shortbox Summary. I started going to the comic shop every week when I was a kid back in 2004, and I thought it was a golden era for the medium. While my first love is comics, my second love is the 2000s. So please join me as I revisit the mid-2000s comic book scene to figure out if the books were good or if I was just 15. This is a retrospective show that takes a look back at Marvel, starting with Avengers Disassembled and talking about the movies, music, TV, sports, and everything in between that made that era what it was. If you like the Last Comic Shop podcast, please give Shortbox Summary a listen, because I like the Last Comic Shop podcast, and I invite those guys on as much as I possibly can. Hope to see you soon, true believers.
All right, we're back with more of The Last Comic Shop, and it is now time for our Read Pile Review. Yes, that time of every single show where we get to read a comic book, and then we get to talk about it, because that's what we like to do on this show. And this is Chad's pick for the Halloween season, and it is Godzilla Monsterpiece Theatre, which he's been absolutely champing at the bit to cover on this show, I feel like. I mean, he was very excited when it first came out because it had all the Great Gatsby stuff, and he likes that book a lot. And then he got an opportunity to talk with Tom, the creator, at Three Rivers Con this year. And
I did feel really badly because I had read the first issue, loved the first issue. But I was like, oh, we got to read this for the show. And he's like, yeah, we'll read it for the show. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll read the rest then. And so I did the interview with Tom Scioli, and I'm like, I'm just kind of faking it through a lot of it because I didn't read the second and third issue.
I helped you out with that. We got to that third issue, and I was talking about how, the Mummy just becomes huge, and then the Great Gatsby
becomes the Great Gatsby.
Yeah, he's all muscular, he's all ripped, and he's standing there with this big G on his chest. We'll get to it. It's a trip. Tom Scioli does all the art. He does all the writing, and J.A., what is this all about? I mean, there's a lot in 3 issues. I will say that.
Yeah, it's sort of like Tom Scioli's version of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but instead of Tom Sawyer and all those other people,
the one that wasn't in the books.
Yeah, that's the movie guy. George Clooney.
The one. Go on.
The head cold. Anyway,
I'm digging this.
So it's the Jazz Age. We're in. Is it Big Egg, Little Egg, Small Egg? What's the egg?
The West Egg.
West Egg. That's it. Which is Long Island, North Shore, Jazz Age, the Gatsby. And he's hosting his parties as he does, just like in the book. But Godzilla shows up and starts smashing through everything, and knocks his love out of a boat, and she washes up on shore, and he wants to have his revenge for the fact that she washed up on shore and still lived.
Yeah, she just got wet. She was a little bit damp.
That made the Gatsby angry. Tom and Gatsby get together with Daisy. Nick doesn't factor in much of the story after the first bit. Godzilla comes. They chase Godzilla over to Europe, who then goes and smashes through London. Jules Verne, who's a cyborg robot thing, can't stop them. Sherlock Holmes is very, very old, and Watson is some girl who's his niece, maybe? And
shrugs.
The Dracula shows up and grabs Daisy. go to Transylvania. Everyone follows to Transylvania. The werewolves show up. The mummy comes because Godzilla smashed through and woke the mummy up, so the mummy wants to get at Godzilla. Dracula gets this power ring that makes everybody grow, and then you have this giant, like, Jaguar versus Godzilla versus the mummy versus a werewolf versus Dracula versus the Great Gatsby, who also grows up, and they all have a big slugfest. And then at the end, Godzilla just goes off to Tokyo to sleep it off. And Gatsby goes back to Long Island and doesn't get Daisy.
Yeah.
Seems a little bit happier, and no one dies or gets shot or murdered for running over somebody in a car.
Masterfully done, sir.
Thank you.
Masterfully
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that I think is just like, I don't know, the tip of the iceberg. Is Sherlock Holmes is eventually a vampire too?
Because he got bit by Dracula.
It's a thing.
Duh.
It's a whole thing. And as I said, I hope that you go back to our previous episode and you listen to our interview with Tom Scioli, because he talks a lot about this particular book. It started off with the Gatsby thing, and then I decided to bring in some other characters, but like I needed them to fit with that time period. So like
I totally forgot about the G-Force, the J Gatsby and the G-Force.
It's true. He has like his own super team with the G's and everything. That's why he's a cyborg, though, because Jules Verne would have been dead and buried. So he had to make it like, well, how would he be hanging out in the 1920s? Like, oh, I'll make him a cyborg. That works. And then I'll make Sherlock Holmes be really old. It's a fever dream. And I don't know. I have mixed thoughts. So I'm going to save mine for later. This is Chad's pick, so I want to hear Chad's thoughts first. Now, when you were reading, Tom, again, you had not read issues 2 and 3, so now you've read issues 2 and 3 for the show. What do you think?
I don't honestly need issues 2 and 3, but we'll talk about that. What gets me?
Time out. What do you mean you don't need issues 2 and 3? Issues 2 is where Godzilla goes to Paris and gets his foot stuck in the Arc de Triomphe that then spins him around.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it does.
And then he goes to attack the Eiffel Tower, and it electrifies him. And they turn the Seine into a giant river of fire.
Listen,
think about it. It's actually probably an improvement.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of chemicals in there.
Hey, they cleaned it now. You can swim in there. After the last Olympics. But no, he had me at hello. He had me at the first alternate cover where he replaced the eyes of Dr. T.J. Ecclesburg with the eyes of Godzilla. And it was wonderful. And so with Tom Scioli, there's oftentimes people, they think that he's not necessarily playing it straight, right? And I can see that a little bit because his art style, it's like Jack Kirby through like an Instagram underground hipster lens. And you're like, oh, is he making fun of me? Is he too cool for school? And like, even when we met the guy and talked to him, I'm like, he might be too cool for school. He's very cool. You know, he's very hip, very with it, very, trendy. But when you look at the actual material itself, you can tell how much he loves this stuff. And you can tell how much he loves banging the toys together. You could tell how much he loves playing with all the Great Gatsby stuff. He loves, having the folks doing the Charleston. He loves introducing Sherlock Holmes inside a giant Godzilla footprint with the quote, "The game is a foot." Yes, it's literally a foot. He's standing in a foot. It sounds so dumb and so amateurish, but it's not. There's deceptive depth. There's, an academic effort to this. And, he's having fun with all these literary tropes and all these different symbols and things that I studied in high school English. And, all that stuff melted my English teacher heart. And so by the time he gets to issue 2, he's playing with all those French, those iconic places. Like, that's fun. Issue 3, he embiggens the universal monsters and has them all fight Godzilla. Like, are you not entertained? I don't know. It's one of those things you can't look too close. I remember, and I can't remember exactly who it was. It might have been someone on this podcast. Yeah, but Godzilla, his whole thing is he's a product of the nuclear era, and you can't have a nuclear era in the 1920s because the nuclear era cannot happen in the 1920s.
This wasn't us. I don't know.
And so somebody said that.
That sounds like something that Mikey Wood would say.
Maybe that was it.
Not.
eat shit. This is fun. And this is what this guy does. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he plays with. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I forgot there's this time machine dude who just comes in and one of my favorite parts, again, stupid. They're in their blimp thing. They're knocked out of the sky because they fly over Turkey and Greece, who are at war with each other. And they get, so then they go, oh no, we're falling into the Baltic Sea. Convert to boat mode. And then they go with the boat. And then they get to land. Oh, we're at land now. Convert to crawler mode.
And listen, all of this is pages and pages after they killed Dick Van Dyke from the Queen Chimneys in his terrible accent. Like, this guy, there are sacrifices in logic that have to be made. Sure, absolutely. And it's hard to tell whether Tom Scioli is doing professional level fan servicing that's more Warhol than it is trash can pulp, but it could go either way. But at the end of the day, I love it. This is a guy who knows what he's doing. He's having fun with stuff, and he's playing with all these different toys and bringing all these things different in. Oh man, we've had so many books in recent memory where it's like, this is an enduring tale of a family living through difficult times. This is Godzilla tripping around on things and getting smashed by giant mummies and Frankenstein monsters, and Godzilla's gonna get daisied. Oh, look out, everything's crazy, and then Gatsby's giant ads. I love it. I love it. I love it.
It's hard to follow you, Chad. Like, I'm excited now. Anything that I may have said about Tom Scioli, I think I'm like, let's move to J.A. I don't think J.A.'s actually read a lot of Tom. I've read like American Barbarian, some other books where he's got like guys with like tanks for feet, and like I'm used to his weird stuff. But this was...
It's weird. It's
so
out
weird.
there. It's fun weird, though. It's definitely fun weird. I can see where you get where he's like, is he like too cool for me? Or is it dumb and it's good to be dumb? So it's on that weird, balance between being really funny and stupid or being really like, I'm not cool enough for this. I mean, it's like snaps.
Yeah.
How fun is this? The nephew of Frankenstein shows up and brings the monster just in case.
And he was a dapper gentleman, wasn't he? He was.
Oh yeah.
He had some threads to him for sure. Because I think that's where like Shark was not only jumped, it was like pole vaulted. The moment when they get that grow ring and like everybody becomes, I get why. Because it's Godzilla, right? And that happens in Godzilla movies where it's like all of a sudden, oh, it's this tiny thing. And, it's becoming huge. Now it's got to fight, Godzilla. And that's how usually Act 3 of many Godzilla movies end, is somebody becomes huge and then they fight. And that's cool. To have the werewolves and the mummies.
How about when they're racing to Dracula's castle and they're all on motorbikes? Suddenly on motorbikes.
Well, it's a Wes Anderson movie at that point.
Yes, and Godzilla's just walking beside them. Totally a Wes Anderson movie. Yes, this is like the comic book version of a Wes Anderson movie. That is perfectly encapsulated. Every other page throws up something new and crazy and stupidly funny.
I like when the time traveler comes back, but he's no longer in his like time machine thing. He's now got like, I don't know, it looks like something out of like Jack Kirby. It's a Jack Kirby-esque design. The handlebars and like the feet things, and he's like, I have come because I have seen all this before, and I know what will happen, but I don't know what happened. I'm just like, wow. Look, I've said it on many occasions that I feel like Tom is the type of guy where it's awesome that he gets to do comic books, because a lot of us that can't draw or whatever, we end up doing things like podcasts or blogs or whatever, where we talk about all the cool things that we used to like. We're like, I love this shit when I was growing up, so I'm going to talk about it on this, this blog or this podcast. He just uses comic books as his medium to say, like, this is the stuff I love, and wasn't this cool or wasn't that cool, and what if, all this were... But he doesn't skimp on some other things. You still have drama. You still have, like, Tom and Gatsby, like, staring each other down. Oh, you making time with my wife? Man, this is like some Silver Age bullshit. Like, this is some Silver Age melodrama, and I like it. It's cool for me. I dig it. If you know anything about Tom, he was a huge fan of those comic books, so it makes sense where he includes even that stuff in this. But I don't know if this is good. I still don't know if any of this is good. It's a lot to take in, and that's why I was hoping you guys would tell me whether.
No one can tell you if this is good.
It's good. Great? I don't know. Is it Great Gatsby? Maybe for a couple pages here and there.
I mean, he gets real big. How could it not?
All right. Well, I guess that's a perfect chance to go to our ratings, Kay. So we'll be right back after this commercial break with our ratings of Godzilla Monsterpiece Theater. We can tell you whether it was good or great or whatever, plus some additional thoughts and recommendations. So stay tuned.
Greetings, ghouls and boils. I'm the Ghoul Master, a loving homage to horror anthology narrators of yesteryear. Wait, I'm an homage? Why didn't anybody tell me? You'll hear from my agent about this. But first, let's get to the heart of the matter. I'm here to tell you about the new horror anthology, Memoirs of the Morbid, on Kickstarter in time for Halloween. Memoirs of the Morbid is a black and white homage to classic horror comics from the 40s and 50s, containing 5 self-contained stories by some of the best indie comic creators out there. There's that word again. I better not find out homage is an insult. Anyways, Memoirs of the Morbid is completely done and ready to go to the printer. So don't make a grave mistake by missing it.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Now we're back with more Last Comic Shop, and it is now time for ratings, where we try to make sense out of Tom Scioli's Fever Dream, and we give it a 1 out of 4 scale. And again, whether we like it or we don't like it at the end, like, thank you to Tom Scioli for making this. Like,
I totally forgot he has Thomas Edison in here, and then he throws shade at him. Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Jay, give us a 1 out of 4 scale that fits this Fever Dream.
Wow, I mean, it's got to be 1 out of 4 G-Force members. Jay Gatsby and the G-Force.
I can almost picture the Saturday morning cartoon intro. The G-Force! All right. Well, let's start off with you, J.A. I mean, again, I hope you can help me figure out my feelings of this, because I am still very confused as to whether I think this is good or not. But what did you think?
I mean, it's weird, but it's so much fun to read. It can't be bad. It's just too fun. It combines things that you don't think should be mashed up together, and it kind of works. The whole Great Gatsby meets Godzilla thing works. Is it perfect? No. But I think that makes it that much more entertaining. So I'm going to give it a 3. G-Force. G-Forces. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It made me then go look for other batshit crazy Godzilla stories, and I found one. I'm very excited to talk about in the review, in the recommendations section. We didn't really talk about the art much. The art and the coloring is very muted. Now, I read it on an iPad. Chad or Andrew, do either of you have a physical copy of this?
Yes.
I have the issues, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does it look like on the physical copy? Is it also very muted?
Yes.
But is it on like glossy paper or is it on like matte paper? To me, it feels like it should be on matte or like dirty, crap newsprint almost.
Right. Well, he is going for that newsprint vibe. It is not on the garbage newsprint, but he definitely wants to invoke those feelings of those colors that you would get from the 4-color process, I feel like.
Yeah, it's the classy paper. Like, modern comic paper.
But he wanted it to look
like
dirty.
garbage new. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what it looks like on the iPad. It looks like I'm reading a scan of a 1960s comic book.
Right.
What I missed. I don't know if it's in the print editions, but you almost want like one of those full page ads for the Mr. Universe muscle dude.
Kicking sand. And
mail away for your pills and, your barbell set.
I'm sure he thought about it. I would have liked to have seen some 1920s versions of those with some of the ads, but I'm going to go next, but I still don't know what to say about this, because there was a lot, and at times I had to put the book down. Anybody that just would throw so many ideas at me, like, it was really hard for me to take some of them seriously. I also too, like Chad was like, is he just making fun of me but I don't think he is. I don't think that's Tom's shtick. I don't think he's trying to. I think his shtick is like, somebody gave him an idea for a comic book, and he was like, okay, for as weird or wacky as this idea is, I'm going to do it justice. I'm going to actually think it out. I'm going to make sure that it all makes sense logically. And I'm going to treat it as if it was War and Peace, like, which is what he's doing with this. Like, again, he uses one of the classics of American literature in The Great Gatsby. He uses that as a crux, or a framework for around all of this is built. And so he doesn't make fun of that. He celebrates that particular book, as well as celebrating Godzilla, as well as celebrating Universal monster movies, celebrating Sherlock Holmes and his love of Jack Kirby designs, and the weird things that would happen in animated cartoons where you would have a blimp that would then turn into a submarine, that would then turn into a land crawler. Like, we all had that toy. We all
would then
knew
turn
about
into a teenager.
Exactly. All of this is coming from our collective subconscious. And so I applaud him for putting it all on the paper. Did I feel like, though, it was sometimes just like too much? Yeah, it was too much. There was way too much in these issues. He'd like just crammed so much into him that it was really hard to digest. So I'm going to give this a 2.75. I can't give it a 3. Despite it being fun, despite me getting a lot of getting what he was doing, I still think some of it was awfully silly. Like, an awfully silly and kind of like an eye roll kind of way. I'm like, all right, enough of this. I got to move on. But then it would be saved by Gatsby becoming like this massive muscular dude and the Great Gatsby. So yeah, it's a 2.75. I'm glad I read it, but I do like other Tom Scioli stuff. Chad.
Yeah, I live for the eye rolls, man. I love this so much. So much. This is exactly, I don't know, I'm looking for sometimes, where I feel like it's 3 issues. I've since read through this a couple of times. Each time I read through it, I pick up something else. There's so many little details and so many little references. And it's like when the cool kid at school says he likes your band as well, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I trust this. And then they start, naming songs, and like, oh, wait, they actually do. Like, that's how I feel about this, where I definitely feel like Tom Scioli as a creator, like, has that underground artsy cred, but is still managing to put out something that is so entertaining and so fun and so over the top. This is not the place you come for nuance. This is not the place you come for subtlety. This is where you come to see all the toys bang together and what would happen. And you wonder, like, why don't more people do this? Because they can't. Because there's something about Tom Scioli and his style that allows him to get away with a certain amount of silliness, in my opinion, that allows him to stretch credulity where, when you pick up one of these books, like, all right, there are certain things you're going to hang at the door along with your hat. And you just let things go. And this is 3 issues. Each issue has a different focal point. I could have lived in the world of Gatsby and people doing the Charleston and all that stuff forever in the first issue, because I just love that stuff so much. But then you get to the second issue and it's all France, and the third issue is all monsters. And like each issue though was unique. Each issue was a celebration, and I really enjoyed this. I'm a little bit surprised that you guys are a little lower on your ranking, just because it's hard to make something this fun. It's hard to make something this stupid. It's hard to make something this entertaining. And so for me, this is a 4. This is candy disguised as art, disguised as candy. And I don't know for sure which one it is, but I think it might be both. And which one do I love it more for? I can't tell. But I think it's definitely a 4 for me. It speaks to me in a way that a lot of comics that are trying to be serious and artful don't necessarily speak to me. And at the same time, it does something that the comics out there that are just trying to be bombastic, where it's like, there's more to it than that. There's just more on each side of the equation. So this is the type of stuff I would love to see rewarded. It's just fun. If you're a Godzilla fan, check it out. If you're a Gatsby fan, check it out. If you're a Universal Monster fan, hang in there till issue 3. You're going to love it. It's batshit crazy, and it's wonderful, and I love it. 4 stars.
If you're a Wes Anderson fan, you will love it. Chad is the Owen Wilson.
Yes.
Tom Sherlock, Wes Anderson.
That's this book in a nutshell. Just, holy shit. Whatever. All right. Next thing.
We got recommendations to wrap up this week's episode. These are the comic books in addition to Godzilla Monsterpiece Theater, which you can find in either single issues, or they did put this out in a trade. Very nice. Very nice. Either
Oversized.
way, you can find it at your local comic book shop. Pick it up if you are so inclined. But we are going to start off recommendations with J.A. because he said he found some more batshit Godzilla stuff, and I'm interested. What do you got?
So this is out. This is new. Godzilla versus Fantastic Four. It's issue 1. Issue 2 is Godzilla versus the Hulk. But I'm just recommending the first one because the first story is crazy enough. By Ryan North, with art by John Romita Jr. and inks by Scott Hanna. And it's John Romita Jr. channeling his father, because this story takes place after Galactus first came to Earth, but before the rest of all the stuff. So Galactus has gone away, but Silver Surfer's stuck on Earth. First, Godzilla attacks New York, and the Fantastic Four try to beat him off. They're almost able to do it when suddenly the sky is covered with fire and rocks, because a new Herald of Galactus is coming, and that's King Ghidorah. And the Fantastic Four are worried because it took them all their might to almost defeat Godzilla. How will they defeat cosmic-powered Herald of Galactus, King Ghidorah? Well, the Silver Surfer comes, and he imbues Godzilla with the power cosmic. So you have
one does
power cosmic powered Silver Godzilla versus power cosmic Galactus Herald King Ghidorah fighting each other in New York. They go at it as big monsters do and destroy each other, and then the Fantastic Four starts helping Godzilla. So like Reed makes a giant fist and smashes one of Ghidorah's heads and springs back and shoots the thing in a ball, clobbering time into one of Ghidorah's heads. Sue Storm makes the thing appear to be massively huge to confuse King Ghidorah so that Godzilla can smash him with his super cosmic powered breath ray, and it shoots him off into space, and he loses his power, and Galactus gets angry, goes away, and Godzilla gives the power cosmic back to the Silver Surfer.
As one does. Real quickly, J.A., if you were to you have your druthers, which story did you like more? Did you like this one, or did you like Monsterpiece Theater?
I mean, Monsterpiece Theater is more involved. It's a longer storyline. It had more to it. This one feels very much like a Saturday morning cartoon. There was a lot of fighting. The stupid bits are about the same in either one, but there's the Great Gatsby aspects of Monsterpiece Theater, I thought, lended that a better story. That being said, I mean, who doesn't love a giant Silver Surfer-like Godzilla monster?
Yeah, that's the only reason I was asking, is because that's your main dude, Silver Surfer. So there you go. I think that's actually even a better rating than the one you gave, because you gave this story, the Monsterpiece Theatre, more. I might have to check that out, because I will say one of the thoughts about my recommendation this week was originally going to be recommending the original Marvel Comics Godzilla series, which you can get in omnibus now, but it's not very good. I hate to say it's not very good.
Yeah.
I've read all of it. They spend a lot of time with Dum Dum Dugan, and there's a couple neat parts of it. Like there's this one really great scene where Godzilla's in New York and J. Jonah Jameson is yelling at him from the window of the Daily Bugle. So you get some kind of neat stories like that. But like, I don't know. I was not a huge fan of that. So that's not going to be my recommendation. There may be people out there that like that, but it's not me. What I did like was a single issue of Doctor Strange, which was among the 100 best single issues of comic books that Wizard came out with back in 2006. So it's a list that sometimes I go back to when I want to read single issues. And this particular one is Doctor Strange issue 56. It was written by arguably one of my favorite authors of the 1980s at Marvel, and that's Roger Stern. I mean, gosh, Roger Stern just wrote everything that was good. He wrote his Amazing Spider-Man run is good. His Captain America run is good. His Avengers run is good. And his Doctor Strange here is excellent. He's got Paul Smith on pencils with Terry Austin inks. And I know that a lot of other stories retell the origin story of Doctor Strange, especially for modern audiences. That's pretty much what this is too. It's called A Mystic Reborn. You know, Doctor Strange sits down with an interview with this girl named Morgana, and she's like a Barbara Walters kind of girl, and he tells her all about, like, hey, yeah, I fought Baron Mordo, and I trained underneath the Ancient One, and eventually I got the Eye of Agamotto and the Cape of Levitation and all this other stuff. And her camera crew then transforms into old Ditko Doctor Strange villains like the Demon and Calcilius, and Doctor Strange deals with them in due course. But really, what you come here for is the awesome art by Paul Smith with Terry Austin inks, the retelling of Doctor Strange, which is much more palatable for a modern audience than you may get from reading a bunch of issues of Strange Tales back in the day, although I would recommend that too. But I still think this is like one of the gold standards for how you retell an origin story. So check it out, Doctor Strange issue 56, A Mystic Reborn. Chad?
So I'm going to go with something that's also a little bit more modern. This is a series, a 4-issue series that came out of DC's Black Label line earlier this year, and it's called Plastic Man No More. It's from Christopher Cantwell, Alex Linz, and Jacob Edgar. And basically, you have Plastic Man, who's a joke. He's always been a joke in the Justice League. But he gets hit with a death ray, and his plastic starts to deteriorate. And so, as his plastic is decomposing, he's telling the League, and the League just thinks he's still joking, and they don't take him seriously. And then he reverts back to his criminal roots to try to save not only himself, but also his son, who's also made of plastic, but also mainly himself. It's the sort of selfish selflessness, as it were. But the fun about this series is Black Label plays fast and loose with DC characterizations and continuity. And we talk about how Tom Scioli is, banging the toys together. Christopher Cantwell is able to take some of the DC characters and play a little loose with their characterizations. And also, like, if you are a C or D or FE list character, you are not safe in these Black Label books. Sorry, Metal Men, you're not all going to make it out of this one. Sorry, certain detectives, which might be marsupials. Or chimps marsupials? I forget.
No, not
they're
Detective
apes.
Chimp!
They're apes.
Not Detective Chimp! No, you're not going to kill Detective...
Well,
Detective Chimp is great. He had a great cameo in the recent Wonder Woman run.
There you go. He plays a prominent role as Plastic Man tries to find a way to make things right by doing things all wrong. But yeah, it's fun. There's a lot of body horror in this. You get like a decomposing Plastic Man who, like, at one point has his arm.
Decomposing or melting? Is it melting? I mean, if you're made of plastic, you just melt, right? Or I guess you get plastic rot like those old toys from the 60s and 70s. You pick them up and they start flaking off.
Yeah, the dust. I don't know. He keeps his arm in like a bag and like has to take all the plastic that melts off, all the goo, and keeps it in buckets in case he can find a way to fix himself. But anyway,
it was like Odo from Deep Space Nine.
Okay, I don't get that reference, but
see, that's how I feel with all these quizzes sometimes. I think I should be the quizmaster next time, Andrew.
All right.
If you let me be the quizmaster, I will ask some Charlie Brown questions.
Oh, look at that. Hey, we've got a Marvel trivia challenge or something like that coming up. So, J.A., if you want to be the quizmaster for that, definitely.
Okay,
I would highly recommend showing up.
I'm putting my hand up now as a way to not feel like an idiot, not being able to answer any of these questions.
I'm in trouble now. Jay loses one round of quizzes, and now I'm going to have to go up against somebody that knows the answers.
Oh, Lordy. Well, make sure that you're not missing out on our Marvel Trivia Challenge in a couple weeks. We're going to have Mikey Wood back for that episode because he's always good for some Marvel trivia. One thing that we're always good for is more episodes of The Last Comic Shop, and you can make sure that you don't miss any of them by rate, reviewing, and subscribing over at www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com. That's right. It's a terrific place where you can make sure that you're not going to miss our next week's episode, our final episode of Spooktober Somna, a bedtime story by Becca Cluden and Tulo Lote. We're going to bring Nicole back to read that kind of sultry,
spooky and sexy. It's the second time around we're going English class. You better brush up on your Crucible, kids.
But in any case, make sure you don't miss it. We're on all those podcasting platforms and YouTube. So check us out.
I don't know if Mrs. Coach Alona subscribed to my podcast. She is my 11th grade English teacher, but I think she'd enjoy this one. So speaking of the podcast, we might be the Last Comic Shop podcast, but we don't want to be the Last Comic Shop. So we recommend everybody get out there and try and find some of those comics that are bringing you joy, whether it's things like Godzilla, Monsterpiece Theatre, or maybe it's the Godzilla versus the Fantastic Four #1. Or as he goes through the different decades with all the different Marvel characters and hits the Hulk and Thor and the X-Men and Spider-Man. Those are all fun too. Or maybe you want to go with the classic bent and find Doctor Strange 56 with that Roger Stern and Paul Smith art and all. I think it's Terry Austin on inks in that one.
That's correct.
Yeah. It's a beauty. That one is a beauty. Or you want the opposite of a beauty, you could read Plastic Man No More, where it's gross and grimy and melty and yucky, but it's a fun story, and so all that and more potentially waits for you at your local comic shop. So check them out today, and then come back to the Last Comic Shop podcast socials. You can find us primarily on the Blue Sky these days, but we're also on YouTube. We're putting out polls on YouTube now. We're very excited about that. And then we have the website, www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com, where we have links to all this stuff. And we also feature what else, J.A.?
We have a link to our merch store. We've got the special on our Halloween spectacular Last Comic Shop podcast t-shirt with bats flying out from the Last Comic Shop. You can get it on a shirt. You can get it on a coffee mug, tote bag, shorts. Yes, that's right. You can get some shorts.
That's right. Some gym shorts.
Spectacular.
And that's not him kidding either. I know that JA throws out some things once in a while, like loincloths or whatever. No, they do. They actually now have shorts, like gym shorts. So you can buy a trucker hat and a gym shorts, the Last Comic Shop logo. Man, it's crazy time.
All they need to put out is like logo flip-flops.
Ooh!
And then you've got like the whole thing coming together.
You need a shower caddy too. Like then you can be like together. Come and walk around in your dorm with like.
I would love a croc gibbet.
Well, I would love Chad to tell everybody where they can find their comic book supplies, all at a discounted price.
Well, there you go. You would go to bcwsupplies.com and enter promo code LCSPOD to get 10% off your order and kick a little bit back to us here at the Last Comic Shop podcast. So any comic book bags or boards or boxes or big fancy plastic boxes, or maybe you want to have frames or whatever various bric-a-brac you need for your collecting concerns, including collectible cards. All that more waits at bcwsupplies.com. Promo code LCSPFD.
I heard a rumor, Chad, that you have now moved over to the drawer boxes. You're now a drawer box guy. That's where it's at.
They're delightful. I have not been a long box guy, but you put them in a drawer. Oh.
Is that because then you can stack them?
You can. You can't stack them as high as you can on the pictures.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd be worried about the tensile strength of the sideboards. You'd have one of those IKEA failure moments where it looks all great, and then you put like 5 books on the shelf, and the thing starts collapsing.
It's just as sturdy as IKEA furniture, the old drawer boxes, but don't stack them higher than 4, I heard.
Make sure that you put the Dewey Decimal System numbers right on the front when you're filing some comics. In case. That's all the time we had for Last Comic Shop this week. I hope you come back for Somna next week. Until then, I'm the host with the most, Andy Larson. I'm joined by Chad Smith and J.A. Scott, my wonderful co-hosts every single week. And until next week, stay safe, stay spooky. That's right. Halloween is right around the corner. And remember that if you are a vegetarian zombie, all you want is brains! Brains!
So if you're a vegetarian zombie, would you just mean you're going after the children of the corn all the time?
Oh!
Comic Shop Podcast was a 2025 Black Angus production.